Welcome to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Camcast, featuring Chris and Ken talking about a movie that's, not that great, but has a cool looking costume.
There's a bit more coolness to it, but...
There is some coolness to it. But the costume is the best part, in my opinion. Because that is straight up pulled off the panels and thrown in the movie.
Costume is hands down the best part. And the movie we're talking about is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
So it came out in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Again, directed by Marc Webb. This time, the screenplay was written by Alex Kurtzman, who's done quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, and Roberto
Orci, Jeff Pinkner, and then they all added James Vanderbilt. All four of those just did the story. So those three did the screenplay, but you added James Vanderbilt and they came up with the story. Okay.
So you can have that little bit of continuation from the first movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So again, starring Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, introducing Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon / Electro. I almost made a Riddler joke there, but I...
Oh, you better believe I got Riddler notes in here.
We got Dane DeHaan as... I wrote down Norman Osborne when I know he's hairy. I don't know why I did that. I think it's because I always equate Norman Osborn as Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, even though he's never ever once referred to as the Green Goblin or even a Goblin at all.
He's in the credits as the Green Goblin.
He's in the credits as Green Goblin.
I was like, what?
Yeah. But anyway, so he is Harry Osborn. Sally Field returns naturally as May Parker. Campbell Scott returns as Richard Parker. And Beth Davids returns as Mary Parker. Now we've got, one of my favorites, Colm Feore, who plays Donald Mencken, the Oscorp Vice President.
I love that guy.
He is so awesome.
He's a Canadian hero.
We've got Paul Giamatti, horribly miscast as Alexei Sitsevich, or the Rhino. And I'll tell you right now, I hate the way the Rhino looks in this movie, even though that last scene was awesome.
The last scene's awesome.
Last scene's awesome. That's the only thing that I like about Rhino at all in this entire movie.
Well, that's really the only scene he is Rhino, right? He's kind of just a guy in a truck the rest of it.
In the beginning with the whole intro sequence with him and Spider-Man is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But the lead up to him being Rhino is fucking terrible. So Paul Giamatti?
Yeah.
If you're going to do a role like that, don't waste Paul Giamatti on this. Seriously.
Giamatti could have been held off for Doc Ock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We got Felicity Jones as Felicia Hardy, although she's only credited as Felicia Hardy in the end credits. That's it. But anyway, regardless, anybody who watches Spider-Man or grew up with it, when you hear Felicia, you go, "Oh, Felicia? Gotta be Felicia Hardy. Yeah. There's no way she isn't." This was kind of interesting. I didn't realize this until I rewatched it and then I was going through the casting. So Martin Sokas, who is typically plays a Russian bad guy.
Almost always.
Eastern European.
Exclusively a bad guy.
Bad guy. He plays a gender-swapped Ashley Kafka. They don't even change the name. So Dr. Ashley Kafka, in the comic books, always been a woman. Mm-hmm. They gender-swapped. Nobody said shit. But if they reversed it, they fucking lose their minds. They reversed it the
wrong way.
And then we've got B.J. Novak as Alistair Smythe, which is a bit of a deep cut. So he ends up creating the Spider Slayers in the comic books and in the animated cartoon.
That would have been interesting to see in the movie.
That would have been really interesting
Spider Slayers.
To see. That would have been really interesting to see. Now, I didn't write down the budget, but I've got it preloaded up.
Yeah, they were really building towards the third movie that we never got.
Yeah.
Like Felicia Hardy. Oh, man, we're so close to seeing Felicity Jones as Black Cat. Oh.
This one, they do this rolling budget again. They say $200 million to $293.
That's a big jump.
But
somewhere between 100 million gap.
Just 293 million. Just say that.
Just say that.
So now we're getting 63 million more than the last movie However, the box office on this one, $709 million.
So a little lower, but it wasn't significantly lower.
A little lower, but the higher budget does mean that it didn't make as much money as the first one.
I would think, I was thinking it'd be somewhere in like 500 or something for them to jump ship to MCU right away.
Well, there's so much that I like. We mentioned this in The Amazing Spider-Man. It's part of the big problem is there's so many plot lines in this movie. So, like, you've got Peter Parker finding his footing as Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And we know this because he's tweaked his costume.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't explain it, but he does. He tweaks his costume, and he makes it look 99% comic accurate. That 0.1% is, like I said, in Amazing Spider-Man, just darker colors.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not bright red and it's not bright blue. But other than that, it's fucking Spider-Man out of the comic books. Just literally swinging out. Okay? The only thing that would have made it even better, and I would have totally said, I don't even care about the colors, is if the eyes opened and closed. Not every artist does that, you know, but I'm a huge Eric Larson fan, so...
Yeah, Larson did it, eh?
Larson did it.
Did McFarlane do it?
I think McFarlane...
I don't think Bagley ever did it, did he?
I don't believe
because the three of them were all back-to-back on Amazing, right?
Bagley, I think it was... No, Bagley didn't do it at all. But, and I think if anything, if McFarlane did it, if I remember correctly, because, so his bottom parts were always longer.
Yes.
And then,
almost the whole face.
I think the only thing would be like, this would change, like almost like eyebrows.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing, if I remember correctly. But then again, I was never the hugest McFarlane fan for art. I acknowledge that he's a great artist, just not the style for me. Which is funny that I love Greg Capullo so much.
Yeah.
Because I originally didn't like his art because it was so much like Todd McFarlane that I was just like, nah. But now I'm like, oh, he's fucking amazing.
They're damn close. He's got more of his own style now, though.
Oh yeah.
His earlier stuff looked a lot.
I mean, that's how the Image guys went. Like, with the exception of Eric Larson, you were either in the Jim Lee camp, you know. So there was like Jim Lee, Whilce Portacio, Silvestri.
Yeah.
Brett Booth.
Jim Valentino.
Valentino, not as much, actually.
Not as much.
He's a bit more of an old schooler, like a Gene Colan type. But, and then you had, like, the McFarlane crew. So, like, basically anybody that worked on McFarlane's books were very close to his art style. Anyway.
And then Liefeld was in his own camp, way over.
And then Liefeld had his own group of guys, too. Liam Sharp was in that group.
Brett Booth
was also in that group.
Yeah.
He was actually kind of both. There were... he was more... Dan Panosian?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Panosian. He was more of a Liefeld guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a bit, actually. It's hard to even... I can't believe I remember all these fucking names. Christ. Anyway.
Good thing we fill our heads with useful information.
It is.
As our wives would say.
No, they would say useless.
Useless, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, like, it's just, like, well, fuck, like, let's go through this. Like, you have the plot thread that was started in Amazing Spider-Man. So you have the parents are spies plot thread.
Yep.
So that's one. You have Spider-Man Peter Parker, like, finding his feet as Spider-Man, you know. The disturbing on-again, off-again relationship with him and Gwen Stacy.
It's really bad in this one.
We have the storyline about Gwen leaving to go to England for school.
Yep.
Because they graduate. We also have the story of Harry Osborne showing back up.
Finding out Norman's dying of disease that Harry suddenly has at that age, and then suddenly starts growing it at that age. Very conveniently.
Yeah.
All in.
Yep. We also have, what else we got? Oh, we got the Max Dillon Electro story.
Right, yep.
And then
Edward
we have...
Nygma.
huge, giant fucking, like, hey, we're totally going to do the Sinister Six, which, I mean, like, for a company like Oscorp, for whatever the hell they were doing, why would they have it so, like, why would they have it specialized? You know, like,
secret operations.
Right, but, like, who sits there and goes, okay, so we need a guy that can fly, and he might as well have, like, actual physical wings that he uses his hands to flap with, right? We need that. And, oh, you know what else we need? We need a guy that has 4 arms, okay? So we need that, too.
Yeah.
And
the Rhino costume.
There was a Rhino costume, that's right. And we also need a guy in a giant Rhino suit. Yeah. But why would they be animal-themed?
Yeah.
That's the other part. So it's just like...
And then the glider was down there, but then the glider's not animal-themed.
The glider and the suit was down there.
Yeah.
With no real explanation. The only real explanation was that they watched the first Spider-Man with Sam Raimi, so we don't really have to explain much.
Yeah.
We just say Osborne.
He's Osborne.
When we say Osborne,
he's going to go flying.
Green Goblin. Well, never mind, like Chris Klein. Not Chris Klein. Shit. I didn't even write his name down. Norman Osborn, actually.
Oh, Chris Cooper.
Chris Cooper. So Chris Cooper's in this movie as Norman Osborn. He's like practically turning into a goblin.
Yeah, they were doing the ultimate thing.
He was practically turning, like, that's what the disease is basically turning you into a goblin. But then he dies.
That's it for Norman Osborn.
And then they imply heavily that he actually didn't die, and that he's creating the Sinister Six, and you're just like, but for what though? Like, for what?
Yeah.
Norman Osborn in Raimi's Goblin became Goblin simply because he wanted to win that fucking military contract for Super Soldier Serum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's all it was. He was like, well, we can't test on humans right now. Well, we'll test on me, and we'll worry about the shit afterwards. So I can go, oh, I know it works, because look at me, right? That was the whole purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He got forced out, so of course he's going to kill them, right? Because he's going nuts. That makes perfect sense. But this doesn't. What was the point of that? Right? But we're already at 10 fucking plot lines.
Yeah. Plus teasing Felicia, who's going to be another one.
Yeah.
They actually, Mary Jane got canned out of this.
Yeah.
She shot Shailene Woodley.
Shot scenes.
Shailene Woodley shot scenes.
They talked about it. They were like, she's in it too.
There's photos of her on the shoot and everything, and yeah, they cut all that out.
You know, and then they cut it, and they go like, well, we'll save it for the third. But anyway, so we've got at least 10 official plot lines. The Felicia, we don't know for sure. It's possible.
I do recall reading that she was going to be Black on the third one.
I recall that too, but I mean at the same time.
And then I watched this again, and I was like, oh, I really wanted to see her as Black.
Right, so we get 10 plot lines. So
at least
the weight of all these different plots, even if there's this many plot lines, in No Way Home, how the fuck are you gonna stick the landing?
Well, at least it's gonna be 25 minutes longer.
But still, right? Okay. So anyway, this one's a lot harder to find good in this. And I know in the first or Amazing Spider-Man Camcast, I had said that like this beat out the first one, but the truth is, there's no way. There's no way. Like, yeah, sure, you get comic accurate Spider-Man, and largely the stuff with Spider-Man is really good. Like his Spider-Man,
all the actual Spider-Man scenes are
Spider-Man stuff is great. And I said this to you, and did you notice this time? The only time Peter Parker's mask comes off in this whole fucking movie, when he's like as Spider-Man out and around people, was when he went to catch Gwen at the very end.
Yeah.
And he realized, then masks off. He doesn't take the mask off when Harry goes, Peter.
Yeah, he kept it on.
And he doesn't even really confirm that he's Peter. He almost just kind of bats it away like, Peter. And he's just like, you don't understand. Like, you don't know what this would do to you. But he doesn't actually say, you're right. Mask off now. We don't have to...
Hey, Harry!
We don't have to hide, you know? I'll give Raimi credit for being able to get both of that. Because you get the damage mask shots. right? So his mask isn't really ever fully off, I think, until Spider-Man 3, the climax of Spider-Man 3.
Yes, then it's off.
Then it's off. Which, in retrospect, now that I think about it, I'm like, that kind of doesn't make sense because there's cameras everywhere. But anyway.
The whole city was there watching.
Yeah, like everyone was just like,
giant sand monster.
They're fucking killing him! But anyway. But this one, yeah, I'm still like floored in this day and age where masks are off all the time. Like, I guarantee you in the climax of No Way Home when we get all three, well, we may not get all three Spider-Man, but, you know, they're all going to be maskless.
Yeah.
They're all going to have, and they're probably going to be holding it in their hands like, I don't know, should we put this in our pocket? But anyway, so we get that comic accurate Spider-Man costume. So the Spider-Man stuff, everything with Spider-Man, the way he is as Spider-Man, even the way he's like, he moves almost constantly as Spider-Man. He's never standing still as Spider-Man, which I thought was really interesting. It was one of those things where I was just like, the direction here is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they did some fidgety, twitchy stuff, like when he was getting the powers from Amazing Spider-Man, which I likened to The Fly when I talked about it before. Yep. I should have remembered. But there was a bit of the Goldblum where he was twitching and he was catching flies and stuff. You're just like, oh, okay, weirdo. But here, it's more of a fluid motion because, like, I remember reading, like, editors in Spider-Man comics were like, you could never have Spider-Man just standing. He has to be crouching or he has to be, like, on a chair or a wall or something. He can never just be standing there like, hey guys, I'm Spider-Man, you know? And I was like, that's kind of interesting. So I guarantee that was probably part of the direction where they're just like, just kind of keep sort of moving or whatever. But, like, as an example as to how great the Spider-Man stuff is, they open the scene with a back shot of him jumping off a fucking building.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence where he is swinging to his graduation, and he is fucking trying to stop not quite Rhino. But the quips are great. The quips are perfect. They're awesome. The movement is great. The sequence is entirely like, it's a great way to open the movie. Like, it's totally cinematic. It's totally Spider-Man. It's totally like, hey, if you didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 1, don't fucking worry about it, because you're going to love this. You won't.
But all of it, though, like Gwen calling him, be like, gotta be here, and him being late and everything, like in total Peter Parker fashion.
Is that like gunshots? He's like, no, it's just traffic, you know, whatever. And you're sitting there going like, why? He doesn't have to lie. He could just be like, yeah, I don't know, I'll try to be there. I'll try to be there, because, you know. But anyway, so, yeah, they graduate, which is cool, you know. What else is good? What else did I like?
Shit, yeah. What else is good on here?
Dane DeHaan is Harry Osborne. I actually really liked. I liked his Harry Osborne. I liked his, even the stuff like with Peter, like, even though they don't even hint at their friendship in the first movie at all, so it does kind of feel a little forced, like, oh,
incredibly forced.
It felt like kind of forced, but they had enough chemistry where I was like, yeah, you know what, it's okay. Like, I mean, he's a rich playboy, and they say, like, he's off doing or whatever, so, you know, I don't necessarily need, like, a text from the first movie to show him there. Mm-hmm. They explain it well enough that I wasn't like, I don't know, you know? Mm-hmm. But, yeah, like, I mean, that part was great. Up until the whole, like, Spider-Man's blood thing. Like, that part is where that's when I started...
I really didn't like that. I really didn't like that. I felt Dane DeHaan felt out of place in this movie. He just didn't fit the vibe of the rest of them for some reason for me. I don't know. He felt very out of place.
Okay.
He did the Goblin role really well. He was creepy as fuck when he appeared as Goblin at the end, even though it was way too soon for the Goblin to be in this series.
Way too soon. Way too soon. And also, like, that's the way they did it. It should have been the way they should have done Venom, in my opinion. string Venom along through the third movie, and then have the fourth devote to Venom.
Right, yeah, we talked about that before that.
You know, we've said that plenty of times.
Yeah.
So then you do this, you thread his eventual arc to Green Goblin, just like Spider-Man 2. Harry's eventual turn to New Goblin, or Skater Goblin, or whatever the fuck they call him. I think it was New Goblin.
New Goblin, I think they call him.
It was New Goblin. But they threaded it through Spider-Man 2 so that way they could devote a large chunk to Spider-Man 3. They could have done the same thing. Thread it through and then hit him in Spider-Man, or Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
You know? And then it would tie into how I would have done this movie. Because I understand why they introduced his parents, Peter Parker's parents. I understand why they introduced them as spies. Okay, I get that too. But they introduced them as spies / scientists.
It was weird.
They tried to get his appearance from the comic books as spies, but also his dad from the Ultimate version, where he was a spy or an actual scientist. And they kind of did this whole weird thing where he figured out something and then had to hide it.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
we're scientists.
Scientists, actually, that works. But it's also that part is really forced, but it also leads into the thing that is the thing I hate the most about this movie is that they make a point of saying that they used Richard's blood to make this, in effect saying you're the only person that could have become Spider-Man, which is fucking terrible. Peter Parker's not the chosen one. He's not like Neo in the Matrix or any of that trope. He is not that.
He's just a kid in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That was the whole point. The whole point was he was just a regular kid who got bit, just through happenstance. This happened, and then it was up to him to make the choice of who he wanted to be, right? So then when they make it so that, he's the only one that could have ever been Spider-Man.
It was weird.
It's just like, oh.
That whole sequence was weird, actually. When he's down the subway, I was like, this feels like Ninja Turtles Natural Treasure type shit going on. What is going on right now?
No one ever found this fucking thing?
This fucking subway full of computers and
shit.
That,
he had the specific tokens, but, okay, a lot of times, I don't know how they do it now, but I know for a while there, big, huge drug run operations, okay, are typically found because of the thermal heat that they give off.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Because it takes a lot of power and electricity to just a huge growth operation for marijuana, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you have an idea of where this grow op is, you fly over with thermals, and then you see
lit up.
Oh, this is weird that this forest suddenly has a giant red hot center here. Let's go check this out, right?
Yeah.
But you can't see shit like this. It goes back to Eternals where you're just all the shit that world has in the MCU, sword floating around the earth, Captain Marvel showing up from time to time, but nobody notices this giant fucking triangle in the air.
4 Camcast later, still going at Eternals.
My point is, they just did shit and hoped people wouldn't go, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, maybe explain it to me in a way that makes sense. Because this isn't National Treasure.
Yeah. It made no sense to me. I was like, okay, city of 27 million people and this is down here and no one's fucking found it.
And again, I know, to get back to Amazing Spider-Man, where I said, well, we're talking about a movie where a guy can spin webs and climb walls and fucking fight lizard guys.
Yeah.
But you can only make me suspend so much disbelief, okay? So, another thing is, even the end sequence, this whole electric grid, is that actually in New York?
I have no idea.
I've never
one
seen
that runs the entire city.
And it's literally an island.
Yeah.
That's just devoted to this. So they took a lot of liberties with how New York looked, which okay, fine, but sometimes it takes you out of the movie. Or at least it did for me. But the whole shit with his parents, like, and again, I know that they're trying to do it so that, and they gave the great power, great responsibility line to his dad, and you're like, fuck you. Fuck you. I know in the comic books, Ben doesn't officially say the line. Peter says, now I know what he meant when he said, great power comes great responsibility. Or something along those lines. But there's no scene, like only in the Ultimate comic book, where he goes, hey, with great power comes great responsibility.
With Hippie Ben?
Yeah, with Hippie Ben. But in the actual, original 616 canon, he doesn't officially ever say it in Amazing Fantasy 15. They might have done it later on, but it doesn't say that. But to give that line to his father, and to give his father way more weight than the guy who fucking raised him for longer than his dad did, no. So, I know they're trying to get away from the Ben mentor thing, fine. But do it with Captain Stacy. But have, I said to you, this was my theory. If you wanted to do that, then you make Captain Stacy the Ben, the Tony Stark role. You give him the Tony Stark role, the Ben Parker role, and because you still have Ben die in the first movie, okay? Then, like I said, in Amazing Spider-Man, you have his relationship with Captain Stacy be the reason why he starts changing how he approaches being Spider-Man. Okay, so now, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, so you don't kill Captain Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man. You save his death for Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then you push Gwen's death to Amazing Spider-Man 3. You don't do any other mention of Peter's spying to his parents at all. And you effectively remove the opening scene with the plane, which, cool.
Cool scene.
But you move that out of the scene. You get rid of that. You get rid of the subway. You get rid of the fucking god-awful, show up in his fucking grave scene. Hey, I'm still alive and haven't been in your life at all. Remember how much you love me? Great power comes great responsibility. You're the only one that can be Spider-Man. So you get rid of all of that. That's a large chunk of the shittiness of this movie. And even the first one, that's a large chunk of that. You get rid of all of that, but you elevate Captain Stacy. You give him a 2-movie arc. When he dies, now it's even more impactful. It was impactful in Amazing Spider-Man, but now it's even more impactful. But also, you drag out the Gwen leaving story to the third one. Her death is even more impactful too.
Yeah.
If you can fake me out and make me go, oh, you killed Captain Stacy instead of Gwen. He dies in the comics first. I know that. Okay? But you fake it out, and then you're like, holy shit, that's cool. And you add more weight to it by the end. But also, you introduce Mary Jane in the second one, so that way it's not weird when she's there to console Peter at the end of the third one and lead into the possible fourth. Right? I think that would have made both movies feel more joined, and it would have made more sense. And again, I know that they brought up this stuff to make them stand apart from the Raimi movies. Fine. Elevate Captain Stacy. Elevate him and convert him into the Ben role, and now this stands on its own completely. Right? And I remember when I told you, that would have
I would have liked that for sure, because after watching these two back to back, I was like, these movies are so fucking tragic. Ridiculously tragic. He loses Ben, and then he loses Captain Stacy, and then he loses Gwen in the next one.
Yeah, which, to be fair...
And, kind of to a degree loses Harry, so...
Oh, he does. He does 100%. But, Spider-Man is a tragic hero.
He is.
And,
but
much like Daredevil...
It takes the fun right out of it, too. You know what I mean?
It's... How many gut punches do you need in every movie?
Right. It's already fucking sad. Plus, he's going off about his parents in between everything.
Yeah.
So...
And his poor mom or his aunt is just like...
I know I'm not good enough.
We tried our best, we really did try our best, and it's like, yeah, I know, but you're not my parents. It's like, fuck, man, give them a break.
Oh, man.
What else did I... Oh, okay, so here's something else I liked.
You found something else?
I actually do like the visual of Electro. I like
right. Totally.
how he looked.
He looked cool.
Liked how he acted. I liked how he spoke. I even liked his Electro theme song, even though it's the cheesiest fucking shit ever.
I honestly love it. I love it so much.
Like, it makes no sense that he would have a theme song.
And then it's got like that chanting with it.
Awful. It's awesome. Just awesome. You gotta kill Spider-Man. And you're like, oh my god, this is so awesome. So I love the way he looked. I love the way he sounded. I loved his theme song. I even loved how he would materialize into a scene. Like, he would just kind of, like, Captain Manhattan.
Yeah.
From The Watchmen. Where he would just kind of, like, it materialized. I was like, this is awesome. That is so cool. It's a shame that he was doing a cosplay Edward Nygma to build up, to get to that point.
And then it falls into a tank full of beetles. Yeah, it is so Edward.
His origin is horrible.
And did you notice how the space between his teeth disappeared when he became Electro? Because it looks dorkier when it's there, so of course Max is going to have that.
Like, Jamie Foxx is awesome. Like, he's awesome.
I love Jamie Foxx.
He's a great actor. Really is.
I have no problem with him playing Electro.
I had no problem with the casting.
Max.
But yeah, exactly. Electro, awesome.
Yeah.
Max, however, garbage. I mean, I've rewatched Batman Forever, and I love Jim Carrey, and I love that movie for all its flaws, but he should never have been cast as the Riddler. But it's weird because, like, when he becomes the Riddler, his Bruce Wayne, Edward Nygma version, awesome. I thought that was great. I was like, oh, wow. But his over-the-top, like, campy...
long red hair, or long...
Everything, like everything. That whole, like, over-the-top Riddler bull. Like, Jim Carrey Riddler, you're just like, it makes no sense for the character. You could have cast him as any other character like that, right? But they, and it's the direction. It's not a fault to him. It's the same with this. It's not a fault for Jamie Foxx. It's the direction. The studio execs were like, you gotta do this. You gotta do this. Never mind that no version of this character has Max Dillon ever been like this. Ever. He was always just like a criminal, like a henchman type deal. Yeah. The Ultimate, he was already an assassin, and he went through the program.
That's right.
I think Kingpin actually, like, he agreed to do this so that he could be a better assassin and ultimately kill Spider-Man. Right? Now, I mean, I understand that they can't use that origin for him. I get that. But they didn't have to make him look like this, like I said, this Edward Nygma, like, Joel Schumacher version where he's just this weird, like...
He knows my name. She knows my name. Oh, you recognize me.
Yeah,
and
the other part too is, like, he's such a fucking, like, hard done by loser that, like, that the scene where he goes, you don't remember me, do you? And Peter's just like, oh yeah, you're he's like, Max Dillon, yeah, you're my eyes and ears, and I was like, it's a little shitty there, Peter. You're not doing so hot here.
But then he remembered, didn't he? Did he say, oh, you're the guy with the blueprints?
He does, but he has to be jogged to it. But he's like it's the part where he lets him say his name first. So he goes, Max, oh yeah, Max, yeah, you're my eyes and ears. Like, and it's like, but that's like one of those little things because overall it's so shitty. It's so fucking shitty. I mean, I'll give him credit when he becomes Electro, and there's that scene in New York where he's just, like, finding it out his powers, and he's like, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and initially, like, Peter's trying to help him, but he doesn't understand it, and then he starts to realize, I'm a fucking freak, and all these people are fucking scared of me, and then he snaps. It makes sense. They could have done it way better. He didn't have to be, like, this caricature of a fucking nerdy loser, like, a horrible caricature, to get to that point, it could have been basically just like high school at work, where just a group of guys, just for whatever reason, they just pick on him. Like Alistair Smythe could have just been like, fuck you, you're a fucking piece. Like whatever. Like he does rip him off, and he takes credit for his work or whatever, and he goes, yeah, you're fine. Like that stuff works perfectly. but they didn't really have to lean into this cartoony nerd bullshit, which I absolutely hated. It was a waste. It was a waste of him.
Oh yeah, no, majorly. Like I still cringe when I was rewatching. I was like, oh man, I knew this was bad, but this is. But the really
Electro does come really close to redeeming it, and even when Harry recruits Electro, it makes sense. These guys fucked you over. Well, guess what? They fucked me over too.
Yeah.
So why don't we work together and we'll fuck Oscorp and we'll fuck Spider-Man. Fuck them all. And then he's just like, yes, sign me up. I'm good. You know?
They go into Oscorp. What they do to Confiora?
Love it.
Kill him and then they bring him back?
Fucking give him a heart attack, bring him back. We could do this all night.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot that. That was awesome. It was so great. It was so good. So good. So I liked that. That part I liked.
That was a good part.
You know, the problem too is the stuff that I like, there's almost immediately so much that I don't like, right?
Yeah, the Electro Spider-Man stuff I really liked. Like those the fights they have, those are awesome fights. And again,
well, even the scene, like the initial scene where there's that spot where Peter is saving everybody on the stairway that's all covered, like it's all wet, it's all about to be electrified.
Yes.
There's a car coming up, and they do that slow-mo shot, and spinning his webs out, and the webs actually look like they're gonna grab people. I was like, that's a really nice touch.
I like that too.
It's a
they
really
did that
nice
at the end
touch.
too when it was going down for Gwen.
It was
like
just
doing
about
like
to
this.
grab my hand.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that part. Like when they did it there, I was like, that's awesome. When they did it at the end, I was like, oh, that's heartbreaking.
So heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
And then they straight up show her fucking snapping. Like just
they fucking give you the sound.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like ugh.
But yeah, the Electro stuff, the only part, like, and I love the final battle scene. My only complaint is it did feel like a video game.
It really did.
Because, like...
I honestly... There's a moment in this movie where I was watching it. I forget what part. Like, Spider-Man was swinging and he was going after Electro or something. And I looked down because I thought I had my controller in my hand for a moment. I felt like I was playing Spider-Man game.
That part, and it was awesome. Like, it looked really, really cool. And this is where I'll go back to with Raimi, where it almost felt like a conscious effort where he would give you a CGI shot and then he'd give you a live action shot. And it would be like sandwiched like that. And, you know, and I'm not going to suggest that it was largely, you know, practical effects. No, it's a CGI movie. All of his movies are CGI movies, okay? But there was that, he made a point of making sure that, like, there was live action shots. To the point where, like, on that clock tower scene in Spider-Man 2, you know, there's literally shots of the stunt guy in the Spider-Man suit and the stunt guy in the Ock suit fighting legit, and then it's a CGI scene. So I was like, oh, I would have loved a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Just to kind of ground it a bit, because I was like, as awesome as this looked, and it looked fucking awesome. It was like, it feels like a fight in a video game. Still awesome.
Still awesome.
I just needed a little bit of grounding.
The lizard fight kind of had that same feel.
Yeah, I didn't mention the last fight scene in Amazing Spider-Man, and I kept meaning to, and we just got off on tangents as we do. But it felt like that too. Where
it had that same like gamey feel to it.
Yeah, and you know, and it's weird because like the MCU ones are way more CGI. Like, I mean, hell, he's fucking CGI overlaid.
Everything is CG.
You know, like
the background is CG,
there, right? Like I said when we watched the first or the big trailer, and the new suit, the advanced suit or whatever it's called, it looks like in the trailers there's no CGI overlay, and I said, like, I hope they don't do that in this movie. I feel they will, but so far I'm just like, fuck that live action. It looks fucking sweet.
Why do you need that CG overlay?
I mean, I understand,
Makes it shiny looking, but
I understand if he's doing a particularly advanced scene. Like, there's going to be a shit ton of CGI in this movie. I get it.
Oh god, yeah.
We don't have to overlay everything.
Yeah.
But anyway,
more CG than live action, probably.
Yeah, but anyway, what else do I like of this movie? The relationship with Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy is fucking the back and forth stalker weirdo bullshit. Like
it's so back and forth. Like, I can't date you. Like, he's going to a pizza shop or something to meet her, and he's standing outside. He walks away, and she comes out, and she's like, "Are you doing this to me again?"
Yeah.
Like, you keep the promise or you don't keep the promise.
Yeah, like, I mean, I hate the fact that he went, like, promises are made to be broken. But then don't go back and forth about it.
Though I did like how he kept seeing Captain Stacy, not Spacey.
Yeah.
Not Kevin Spacey. Yeah. Kevin Spacey, there must be that stalker talk. Kevin Spacey.
Oh, no, he's not a stalker. He's a sexual predator, but he's not a stalker.
No, that we know of.
Oh, hold on. Alleged sexual predator.
Come on now.
Anyway.
But anyways, Captain Stacy. I liked how he kept popping up throughout the movie.
I liked that because it's a reflection of Peter's guilt. So I liked that, but it's one of those where you didn't have to do that. Like, you could have had it where Gwen is like, "Look, I make my own choices," because she says that. She said, "Hey, look, I make my own choices, okay, and I want to be with you, Spider-Man and all. I understand the ramifications. I get that."
Mm-hmm.
And then, at least at that point, you could have him at Stacy's grave and go, "I know I made a promise. I have to break this promise. I don't have a choice. I love her. I do whatever I can to make sure she's safe, but I have to break this promise. Then I'm okay. Then I'm all right."
Yeah, I would have liked that.
Okay? Because then, later on, and this is, it ties in, so it gets to the point where, like, Gwen didn't have to be in the final fight scene with Electro.
No.
She forced her way in, but magically got on this fucking electric island, the generator island. She managed to get away from the cop. Like, so he webs her to the cop car.
Yeah.
But she manages to get out of the cop, like,
saw herself out.
Get out of the webbing. Okay, so she gets out of the webbing, steals a cop car, drives the cop car to this island, and just says, "Hey, I'll help you out." Okay, fine. But, like, you already helped him out earlier. You said, like, this is how you ground the electricity. Okay? But they forcefully wrote it so they needed two people to stop Electro, to set her up so that she could be at that spot when Green Goblin, Harry Goblin shows up to take her to the fucking clock tower scene. So it's just like you had some stuff that was good, and why do you have to immediately go, fuck it?
It was he beat Electro, and I wish it would have just ended there.
Yeah.
Like, the whole Harry thing was just so forced. Like, it was 5 minutes long. He shows up, do a little fight, kill Gwen, and then it's done. Like, all of a sudden, like Harry's in a friggin' insane asylum now or some shit.
Yeah. And it comes and goes too. Like, his sickness comes and goes now, and you're like, well, then what the fuck?
Yeah.
If it comes and goes. And I mean,
it's frustrating because
it's a comic accurate death scene too. It really is.
Yes.
And it's shot perfectly.
Oh.
Like, he is spread out between the fucking gears, and he's trying to stop Harry while stopping her from falling to her death and making it so that she doesn't die, and that everything goes to shit. And then he dives through, and it's awesome. And as a comic book fan, your heart's breaking because you know he isn't going to save her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he doesn't, and you're like, Jesus fuck.
I wasn't sure if they were going to actually do it. And when the first time I watched it,
I knew right away.
I was like, are they really going to kill her already? And yeah, well, they did.
But here's the thing. If they didn't, they faked you out, they're going to kill her off in the third movie.
Somehow.
and it's probably going to be very similar to that. So just do it. I mean, it wasn't on a bridge.
Nope.
So there's that, but it was awesome. It was fucking
But they made
awesome.
you think it might be on the bridge because we knew Harry had just become Goblin and they were up on that bridge.
Yeah, it's just...
Like, oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know. It's disappointing that so much of this movie bothers me because the Spider-Man stuff is so good in it.
Yeah.
Like, the way he plays it, the quips, the look of the suit.
Yeah. Like...
The movements, like you said. Like, this is my least favorite Spider-Man movie, but it is my favorite looking Spider-Man. And I love the Raimi trilogy.
It's
not
suit, mine because I actually really
action.
like the Stark suit. I think the Stark suit is the best representation. Well, because it's bright red, it's bright blue. Yeah, it's got like the dark, like the black tweaks to it, but it's a Spider-Man suit through and through. But like this one is fucking like close second. Like it really is. I think it's more or less how much I hate this movie.
Yeah, it's bothersome because I want to like it.
And this time, I made a conscious effort to just look at the positive. Just look at the positive. Focus on the positive. And you know what? Like, you're finding pearls in giant piles of shit. Eventually, you're like, I don't fucking...
What a way to put it.
I don't care about these pearls. It's not worth the fucking effort. I got fucking, what, three pearls?
Describing Amazing Spider-Man in one sentence. A few pearls and a bunch of shit.
3 pearls in a pile, like a giant, like abnormal pile of shit. I mean, fuck. Especially because, like, and then you get all this fucking bullshit. Like, this whole bullshit. And then you get this fucking... Fuck, man, like, the worst looking version of Rhino, okay? Now, in the Ultimate world, I believe the Rhino is a mech. It's more mech. It's actual
a
mech
suit, yeah.
Okay? So, alright, fine.
This is a more Ultimate version for sure.
But this is like a giant Rhino tank. Like a giant fucking Rhino tank. But for some reason, he has him, like, the stubby Rhino fucking appendages, but he stands on his hind legs. I mean, yes, when he runs, he's on all fours. That was cool. But the only thing that's awesome about that scene, there's two things, is the kid stands up.
I love that kid part.
That kid part, and it ties into earlier when, Spider-Man helps the kid and then walks the kid home. I was like, man, that's awesome. That's fucking great. And he's like, oh, you make this? Oh, yeah. And he's like talking science with this guy. He's like, yeah, man, it's cool. I'm a science geek too. And then they stroll home. I was like, that's it. You've got it. You got a pearl. You got a pearl. That's a nice
Hang
pearl.
on to that pearl.
Okay? Maybe there's more than 3 pearls. I think we got 5 pearls. But anyway. And then we revisit this kid. He's wearing the Spider-Man suit. And he's the only one standing against him. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, not one cop runs out to fucking catch this kid. Regardless, shut up, Chris. Watch it, because it's awesome. It's just so cool. And then, Peter shows up, and he's just like, I got this.
And it's even more, like, better, because he's been gone for months.
He's been gone for months. And everyone's just like, well, I guess that's it. And then he shows up, and he's like, hey, thanks for watching things while I was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is fucking so cool. And then this big, huge, beautiful wind-up scene. Like, well, first they do that thing where he's just like, he's on the air horn.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm back, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, fucking right, Spider-Man. You're like, yeah. And then he does this huge slow motion swing with the fucking...
Oh, you get that wide shot of the Rhino running and he's just swinging in the air.
This, and then scene cut because they're going to go to Amazing Spider-Man 3. And you're like, fuck you. Fuck you. You don't even do end credits with the fight scene? Fuck you!
I want to see this Rhino fight. And they tease that Rhino fight in every trailer for the movie.
Every single trailer. That was a focal point. So now, instead of me searching through piles of shit to find the pearl, you know what they did? I found the pearl, and then they went, no, we'll take that back.
Yeah.
Let's take that back.
You're looking at it, and then they just took shit and threw it in your hand.
They took it back. They took it right out of my hand. They said, no, we keep this pearl for you. The end credits could have been the entire fucking fight scene in, like, still frame shots. So you show the full motion thing hit, like the manhole hits him, and then the rest of it is just still shots like a comic book. Just fucking take him out. You know, Alexia is arrested.
Oh, it could have been. It could have been shots taken from Peter's camera.
Could have been. It could have been drawn by fucking Alex Ross.
Oh.
I would not have liked that. I'm not. I get tired of his art. I'm tired of his art.
You tired of his art?
Yes.
Well, it probably would have been like Andy Park or something. One of those Marvel guys that are doing all the storyboards.
But either way, our maybe Steve McNiven, like do something, like update it or whatever. But something where I'm not like, oh fuck you. That's always my interaction to that. Is just fuck you, you fucking pricks. And I would actually forgive fucking Rhino Tank if we got to see how badly he destroyed Rhino Tank, and then it leads into Amazing Spider-Man 3 where he's like, no, I don't want a tank. Fucking make me like Spider-Man. I want whatever he's got in me.
I want Rhino skin.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like, Rhino doesn't necessarily have to have a costume, although I prefer it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But, like, even with the Ultimate, like, it was a mech, but if I remember correctly, he was trapped in the mech suit, so it was similar. Because that's the thing. He's trapped in the Rhino suit. But I think the Ultimate, it was mech for sure, 100%. So it was obviously a little bit bigger than it would have been in the 616.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe he was trapped in it. I think that's part of one of the things I like about it, where it's part, like, he's trapped in it, and he's just forced to do it type of thing.
I gotta read that Ultimate run again. Desperately.
And it's funny, because I don't think he's actually in the Ultimate run at all. I think he's only just in annuals.
Oh, that's right.
Or if he is, it's not with the Bagley run.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man.
I wanted so badly to like this movie. Even this time around, I was like, it can't be as bad as I remembered it. Because, you know, and especially because I watched Amazing Spider-Man and I was like, okay, it's not as bad as I remembered it. But also, I'm not watching it like, let's see how fucking bad this is. See how bad this shit holds up, you know? So I was like, okay. So, like, if I use the shit pearl analogy, well, first of all, there's not a lot of shit to wade through in Amazing Spider-Man. Like, when you get right down to it, there's things that I don't like, and there's things I would have done differently.
Yeah.
But there isn't really anything aside from him saying promises are being... Like, that bugs me so much. Promises are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
Every single time I'm like...
It's got a better shit-to-pearl ratio.
There's almost no shit in this. There really is no real shit in Amazing Spider-Man. It's just... everything that they did there that had been done before was done better. Yeah. Before. Okay? With the exception of the kid on the bridge, that's such an amazing scene. Like, it's so fucking good.
It's pure Spider-Man.
You know, it really is. And the tweak on the origin, you know, they keep the beats. Mm-hmm. Ben dies because of Peter's inaction.
Though interesting that he never finds the criminal.
Yeah, they went the Batman route where he never found the criminal.
Never did.
When he switched the purpose of Spider-Man, it didn't matter anymore.
No.
You know, now it wasn't... Because he wasn't supposed to be the Dark Avenger. Who, you know, was constantly doing it. It was never like... Like, Batman's whole thing is like, I do this so that no one has to go through what I went through. Peter does it because it's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. He does... It's like Dick Grayson, same thing. I just do it because it's the right thing to do. I help people because, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. And Batman does it, but his reasoning behind it isn't as altruistic, you know? Still good. But yeah, whereas Amazing Spider-Man 2 is it's almost like they're purposely, like relentlessly piling shit on and saying, you still like it though, right? You know? And I'm glad that this didn't continue on, because there's no way that I would have liked the third. Yeah. There's absolutely no way. And also, I'm glad because, like, for Garfield's sake, like, for me to be a lifelong Superman fan or Spider-Man fan, if I was ever to be cast as Superman or Spider-Man, I would be like, fuck yeah! this is the greatest moment of my life. And then to be in what are considered to be the worst Spider-Man movies or Superman movies would be heartbreaking. I would be fucking crushed. So, getting to No Way Home, and you're like, yeah, it's an end story for both Spider-Mans, and I still, to this day, I'm like, nope, not for Raimi's Spider-Man, because I don't care how you cut it, in my opinion, Spider-Man 3 ends just perfect enough so that it can have more stories, or not at all.
This kind of did too.
This...
Now that I watched it...
This did, but... Unfortunately, it's the worst way for him to go out. Okay? So, for him to get, like... For him to be able to save Mary Jane at the end of No Way Out, if that's how they do it... That... Okay, fine. Perfect.
If Garfield saves him?
That's what I'm saying.
Saves
like,
her?
you know, I think Holland saves his Mary Jane. I do. But I think it's... But it's tough to say. Like, it's really tough to say, because thematically... It helps this Peter get past it, right?
Majorly. But
I do feel like this is a way for them to bookend this garbage ending that he got. Because you're right, like this does end. It ends similarly in the way that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, he wasn't Spider-Man forever. Makes a comeback.
And you know he's back. He's back to Spider-Man. His life will be different now because Gwen's not in it. But he will soldier on, and then we can get more adventures. And they obviously were planning a big, huge, fat fucking franchise out of this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm glad that I'm glad I didn't have to sit through another movie where the whole time I'm going like, fuck, why couldn't you do it with a character I don't give a fuck about?
More pearls, please.
Like,
more pearls.
You know, like why couldn't you have done this with like fucking Iron Man? Because I don't fucking care.
Because he probably would have got the Sinister... Well, no, they wanted to do Sinister Six as its own movie.
That's right.
And then connect it to Amazing Spider-Man.
That's exactly it. So we would have got...
So who the fuck would he have fought in a third one if Sinister Six was going to go do its own thing?
Well, hold on. No, he would have fought Sinister Six in Amazing Spider-Man 3.
So Sinister Six was going to be in between?
Wasn't that how it was supposed to go? Because wasn't Sinister Six supposed to be like an origin flick for the Sinister Six?
I don't know if it was going to be an origin. I don't even remember now. They changed it so many times.
Yeah.
All I know is that, well, I mean, they could have had something simple like Black Cat and the Spider Slayers, right?
They could have had the Spider Slayers. And they could have literally had the Spider Slayers based around the fact that Oscorp is largely fucked now because of Harry and Electro, and they could have like Smythe could have sat there and said, well, it's because of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, like, because, like, Alistair Smythe has never been, like, a mentally sound guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Or, hell, they could have even had it where, like, we didn't see this, but, you know, when Electro was storming through Oscorp or whatever, he fucked something up, and, you know, Alistair Smythe got fucked up, and he ended up going into the Spider Slayer route to save his life first. Yeah. And he blamed Spider-Man, because, you know, that doesn't have to make sense.
No.
But you could blame Spider-Man because, you know, he was stopping a robbery and it made you miss your bus and then you lost your job. Yeah. Which is kind of the story for, what the hell was it? The Clock bad guy. Clock King? Remember in the animated story?
Yes.
He was so regimented with time, and then like the bus was like 2 minutes late, and then he lost his entire life was ruined because of that extra 2 minutes or something, and he just snapped. But the coolest part is that if you look at comic book versions of the Clock King before the animated series, he looked fucking ridiculous.
Was he just a giant clock?
He had a clock face. He had a fucking cape. I'll show you because it's the worst. So, like, the animated version, I remember thinking, like...
A clock face.
God damn, like, he was cool. He was just a dude. But he was... Now...
The ugliest green and blue.
Try to get that to show up on there because, like, that... As opposed to this, where he's just a dude with, like,
clock.
With glasses. Like, that's one of my favorite design spots. And then he's got his own little, like, pocket watch that he fucking uses to fuck people up. Now, like, you know, before the 52 reboot, they went similar.
Okay, yeah.
You know, that's, you know, it's a little bit more hippie vibe, but whatever. I prefer the regimented, like, suit, slick back hair, the glasses with the little... I prefer that look, but... But this...
Look at the face. Is that little slot supposed to be the mouth?
I guess. Or so he could breathe? Like, I don't fucking know. I mean, look.
Fuck designed that one. This is a good costume.
Look, I get it. Okay, like, I mean, seriously, one of Batman's villains is the Condiment King. Like, I get it. And, like, his comic accurate, like, I get it. The Condiment King is, like, you know, what was it? The Crazy Quilt? Yeah, the Crazy Quilt. That's another... I'll show you that one, too, because what the fuck, but... That's a legit Batman villain. The Crazy Quilt. So, I mean, like, I get it. Like, all of Batman's villains can't all be fucking crazy cool winners, but...
Nope.
So,
nope. Can't all be
thank God for the animated series, because a lot of those villains... got revamped and looked amazing.
The Clock King.
Hell, even in that cartoon with Harvey Dent, his origin to Two-Face, I thought was a lot cooler. Like, instead of the acid in the courtroom, which is cool, you know. Yeah. And I liked that in The Dark Knight, they teased it with the gun scene, which is awesome. But it was an explosion. It was an explosion that fucked up half his body.
Really?
Yeah. But they did the duality, like the split personality stuff. They teased that throughout the episode. Rewatch it. It's fucking good. I gotta rewatch that whole show because... Oh, yeah. Actually, I have to...
I've been meaning to for a while now.
I have to buy that box set. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Batman rant aside. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Mostly shit with some pearls. Amazing Spider-Man's good. I think we covered all of it.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
We're good.
I think we covered it. Great costume, not a great movie. But let us know what you think about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Was it as bad as we think it is? Was it better than the first? The costume was definitely better than the first. There's no denying that.
If you can give me more reasons to like this movie, if you give me more pearls than shit, I will welcome it. I really will welcome it. Okay? Because... I mean, like I said, lifelong Spider-Man fan, lifelong Superman fan, lifelong Batman fan. I realize that there's going to be versions that I'm not going to get. Like, it's not going to be for me. But still, there's got to be enough of the core. Exactly. You know?
You've got to have enough in there.
And I think, like, that's one of the reasons why I instantly loved Holland's Spider-Man so much is that there's so much core in it that... It's almost like I can forgive some of the stuff that they do that I'm not necessarily...
Not mentioning Ben, lots of Iron Man and everything, but the core of Peter Parker and who he is there.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely there.
You know, like, not mentioning Ben, but inferring heavily, you know, is fine. But I almost feel like it's smarter... It was a smart move for them to not do the origin and not focus on Ben, because then there is no comparisons to... Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man Raimi version. So, because like I said, if I hadn't seen Spider-Man, I guarantee you, if I saw Amazing Spider-Man first, and that's where I fell in love with Spider-Man, or that was like the first live-action version of a character I grew up loving, and then I watched Raimi's, I guarantee you I'd probably just be like, yeah, no, I'm not saying Raimi's isn't good. What I'm saying is that I just like this better. I think everything that they do is better. I think I might even be like, you know what, the scene with the cranes, the scene on the bridge, it's great. You know, it's awesome, but it's not as good. And I might actually be like that.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because it is a better movie. Like, if we're looking at like shots, like if we're looking at writing, if we're looking at the technical aspect, like it is leaps and bounds better than Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Across the board, okay? Like, there's, you know, and it's not a knock to Marc Webb, because they're also two different directors, you know? But it's interesting that both were indie directors saddled with big budget. Like, fucking big budget, you know?
Huge budget.
500 Days of Summer is not a $200 million.
Maybe 10 million.
15 tops.
Like, tops. That's tops.
And same with, like, Darkman.
Yeah.
Darkman, 20 mil tops.
Yeah.
Tops.
And that would probably be his biggest budget movie before Spider-Man.
Anyway, thank you so much again, guys. And keep on rocking in the free world. You did all the social media stuff, right?
No.
Oh. Keep on rocking in the free world and catch us on
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Check us out here on YouTube. And go to geekpantsmedia.com.